Furthermore, the appraisal being used to justify these actions is invalid and uses twisted logic to arrive at what I suspect was a predetermined outcome, as our NMA position paper clearly points out. In closing, I'm simply asking that you be reasonable and fair to all harbor users and put an end to this discriminatory proposal. Thank you very much.
You got the clock. How much time left?
20 minutes.
Thank you. Following last note on the discrimination, part of the discrimination lies in looking at the different users individually. When you isolate a smaller group and you go, hey, we're going to appraise that and figure out a rate, that's not good. When cities do fee studies, they take a step back. What should this fee be? What should that fee, and how do they all relate? Part of the discrimination is taking a small group and drilling down on it, in my opinion. Next slide, please. So, problems with the Netzer appraisal. First, Netzer appraisal compares apples to oranges by determining the value of mooring balls floating in the middle of the harbor by irrationally taking into consideration the value of waterfront real estate. Secondly, the Netzer appraisal and the Harbor Commission ad hoc proposal create and use an inapplicable mooring to slip ratio in determining mooring fees. In the 2016 appraisal Netzer did, he deemed the mooring to slip ratio, which this whole thing relies on, as unreliable. This suggests, as we believe, it is a useless apples to oranges ratio. I did pass out a flyer. It's from the 2016 appraisal. I boxed out the comment, the NMA notes, and we underlined. The ratio analysis attempts, and then down at the end, it is not judged to be a reliable measure of fair market value. Once again, 2016, Netzer says this is completely unreliable, and now our rates go up 500% based on that. Next point here, no, back. Netzer appraisal does not take into account the lack of access and lack of amenities. Bottom line is, there's very little access in Newport. All the other harbors he comped out, the mooring fields, they have ample docks, parking. He's using the yacht club moorings where there's ample docks, there's a shore boat, and a bundle of services that comes with that whole package. These are apples to oranges. Next, Netzer appraisal fails to use established methods used by the State Lands Commission, which the city applies to all other tidal improvement rates. All we're asking is to be fair, use those friendly rates on us. Don't do a unique, unreliable approach to the appraisals. Next point down here, the Netzer appraisal unfairly, exponentially increases the rate for longer moorings. On a relative square foot basis, longer vessels or moorings cover fewer square feet of water surface after taking into account the fixed amount of water surface covered by the mooring lines. It's a double whammy on the long boats on this plan. I'd like to go over the variances. It's on the fire.
In relation to the 2016 appraisal that was done that the city adopted against what's been provided to the Harbor Commission, looking at just the one comps that Commissioner Beer talked about, which was the Bayside Yacht Basin, or Basin Yacht Basin. Back in 2016, those rates for a 40-foot boat were $29 a square foot, or per foot. And 2023, they're $41, which is $41 per foot, which is a 41% increase over the 5 years, which is a compounded growth rate of 4% per year. The values that Netzer has proposed and the rates proposed by the Harbor Commission have a 29% per year growth rate, which those two numbers don't correlate at all. So another reason why I think you guys need to take a look at the next year appraisal. It doesn't seem to be tracking with his past work, and I think part of it is he's doubled the slip to mooring ratio was at 10% in 2016, and now it's an average of 29%. And then you compound that with adding waterfront home sales comps, and however he's massaged the values between those various values.
What Jerry spoke to is on the spreadsheet. It's got the 2 stars. If you look to the right, his difference from 2016 to 23 on Balboa Yacht Basin slip rates was an increase of 41%, which closed pretty tractly to CPI. If you go to the right star, on the right side is the moorings. The moorings somehow from 16 to 23 went up in value 448%. So this would be a red flag, would detect big problems as a variance report is usually used. Next slide, please. Here's some rate options the city could consider. Option, row, column number A, description. Keep the existing rates. Apply it to a 40-foot boat, 3rd row down, that's $1,600 a year. Column B, apply a CPI adjustment to get all caught up on CPI. That would bring it to $1,800 a year on a 40-foot boat. Column C, use the state-approved state lands benchmark. They designed it to avoid all this. It's a benchmark. This is specifically for Southern California. You just take their number, apply it by the square feet or linear feet. You come out to about $550 a year. Column D, you could use the Newport, the pier rates, and do a square foot number on the moorings, and you would come to $672 a year. Or you could try to cram down column E, $5,770 a year. As far as the pros, you see some pros down there. I don't see any on column E. And on the cons, column E, it's just blatant rate disparity. Next slide, please. The city's general plan allows for affordable moorings. This whole concept that you get a full fair market, that you get to charge, the city has to charge full fair market value is a farce. Up above here, mentions in yellow, moorings are an important source of low-cost public recreation for the water in the harbor. To the right, under B in yellow, the implementation plan of the general plan. This is city promises, how it was intended by your forefathers. Someone was smart enough to write this in decades ago to make sure this doesn't happen. It indicates at the bottom there in yellow, reflecting state and regional demand for slip size and affordability. Down below, number C, the city's coastal plan promises to continue to provide shore moorings and offshore moorings as an important source of low-cost access to the water in the harbor. Next slide, please. Here's the red line. We're mooring holders or permit holders. They're permittees. They should be above the red line. The appraisal and this concept is trying to push the mooring permittee down below the red line. Everyone on the red line relies on the permittee above. So it's full retail services down below the red line. Mooring permits should be above the red line. Once again, it feels like the city is trying to compare us to full service below the red line, and all we're asking for, treat us like the dock permit, treat us like the yacht club marina permit, treat us like the yacht club mooring permit,